Hey guys, back with another fanfic. This is What If Natsu Was a God Slayer Part 1. If this video gets 20 likes, Part 2 will be up ASAP, but without further ado let's begin. Chapter 1, The Herald of the Supreme Goddess, July 2nd, year X 784, 11 o'clock, town of Harjan, train station. Now, Sin, remind me please, why did I have to ride the train, instead of flying on your back? The salmon-haired young man, dressed into long, black and very pricey, one-sleeved coat, addressed his familiar. The man's left hand was encased with a black leather glove. Natsu came out from the train carriage and looked at his partner, whose name, apparently, was Sin. Because I'm not a donkey to carry you on my back around the whole country, and because you insulted me yesterday, Sin replied imperturbably. He was a very strange creature. Actually, he could be referred to as a little dragon, and he might have looked very cute and funny, if he'd have some flesh on his bones. The little skeletal dragon, about 1.5 times bigger than canonical Happy, whose bones were emanating a mysterious blue glow, seemed too exotic, even for a magical kingdom of fury. And how exactly did I insult you? Natsu asked acidly. You called me a clumsy ass, so I decided to let you use something less clumsy than me, and pay for a ticket, once in a while, Sin replied with the same unperturbed tone. You turned that little statue to dust, with your own ass. The very statue that we were supposed to guard from stealing attempts, by the way, Natsu said in annoyance, as he pointed at a strange little creature. It was my tail, not my ass. Little Dragon suddenly raised his voice, seemingly Natsu hit some sort of a sore spot. What's the difference? Thanks to you I didn't get any money. If, because of you, this red-haired upstart will be able to earn more money this month than me, you'll be very sorry, Natsu snorted. And now you've made me lose even more time by forcing us to use that train. Come on, we have to find our client and do this mission, ASAP. The salmon-haired warlock added, ignoring townspeople, most of which now were staring at this very odd and very noisy couple. Screw you, you are the one who made the bet, why the hell should I deal with it too? Sin growled. They left the station, still arguing along the way. July 2nd, X 784, 11:15, town of Harjan, downtown. This is the only magic store in this entire town. A blonde-haired girl exclaimed, after listening to the shopkeeper's little, promotional speech. Yes, this town is more prosperous in fishing than magic to begin with. Unfortunately, only less than 10% of the townspeople are able to use magic, so this store is mainly targeting traveling mages, the shopkeeper explained, making a girl to sigh heavily. Right, I think I've wasted my time then. A blonde girl dropped her shoulders, vaguely looking around the store one more time. Hey now, please don't say that and have a closer look, the shopkeeper said as he pointed to his magical goods. We have plenty of magical items, and a bunch of new stuff came in a while ago. He reached under the counter and brought out a card with the word, colors, on it and a glass ball at the top. This, colors, magic probably is the most popular among young women. Depending on your daily mood, you can change the color of your outfit. He announced and demonstrated the effect by turning his shirt a different color. I already have it, the girl replied as she stared at some of the other items, unsure of what some of them actually are. What I'm really looking for is the keys of the gates, strong ones. Gates, now that's something uncommon. Lucy, however, did not hear him as something caught her attention while she was looking at some box on the shelf behind the shopkeeper. She got near the counter to get a closer look at the silver key inside. Ah, white doggy, she exclaimed with glee. Yes, but this one's not strong at all, the shopkeeper commented, but the girl shook her head. It's okay, I've been looking for it. She smiled enthusiastically before she asked the most important question, how much is it? It's 20,000 jewels, shopkeeper replied. The girl became silent for a few seconds before asking again, I'm sorry, I wonder how much it is. I said it is 20,000 jewels, the shopkeeper said once again. The girl leaned against the counter, revealing a huge amount of cleavage to the shopkeeper. She crossed her arms under her breasts to make them pop out more. The zipper on her top seemed to lower itself due to the pressure. Oh, come on now, I wonder how much it really is, dandy mister. She wondered while finishing her phrase with seductive wink. The storekeeper became quiet for a moment before speaking. A few minutes later, TCH, the blonde scoffed as she walked down the street in a huff. He only gave me a 5% discount. is my sex appeal worth only 1,000 jewels? She growled angrily as she kicked down a cafe sign. Then, her attention was taken when she heard several girls screaming in delight. Huh, what's going on? She asked herself as a couple of young women ran by her in a hurry. Seemingly they were heading towards a small crowd nearby. There were about 24 of girls, most of them were of somewhat the same age as Lucy. While staring at the crowd in confusion, she heard another pair of girls, behind her, talking as they also were running towards the crowd. A famous mage is in town. Really? Yeah, it is Mr. Salamander, the mage who controls fire magic, which can't be bought in stores. Salamander, Lucy said to herself, looking at the fangirls, not sure that she ever heard that nickname. Well, if he's a mage, I think I have to take a look at him, she decided in the end, as she headed towards the crowd. Oh, seems he is quite popular, I wonder if he looks cool. July 2nd, X784, 1220, Town of Harjin, Town's Market. I guess that taking this request was a mistake, after all, Natsu sighed, looking around. How exactly am I supposed to neutralize some criminal if no one can even say how he actually looks like? Oh my lord, Natsu, maybe it's time to stop complaining and just start doing your job. Sin asked tiredly. It's a 700,000 jewels reward. If you complete this mission your monthly income will surpass hers, you'll win your bet and maybe then I'll finally be able to rest for some time, while you two will be engaged in family planning, Sin snorted. Natsu's eyes blazed with satanic light. Even though it is true that I can't rip out your tongue, since you don't have one, but rest assured, I can invent something equally painful, just for you. I don't want to have anything in common with that insolent little. Aha, Sin yawned. Don't you think that you two should stop that clownery already? Like making stupid bets, for example. Just rent a motel suite with a durable bed instead, there you can decide which one of you two is stronger. Sin, I'm warning you, Natsu replied. His voice sounded calm, but pavement under his feet cracked. But then, something suddenly interrupted their jointless argument. Yeah, Mr. Salamander. Young man heard several joyful screams. Maybe it is our criminal. Sin guessed. Yeah, criminals always want to be the center of attention, Natsu replied quite skeptically. You got better leads. If not, then let's take a look. Even if it is not our criminal, I want to know what is going on. Sin announced. The little bony dragon grabbed Natsu and lifted him to the roof of the nearest house. See, what did I tell you? Sin shouted victoriously after they took a good look at that guy. He is a criminal. All right, I agree, he is a criminal. But I doubt he is our guy. Using forbidden charm magic to attract girls' attention, it's barely worth 70,000 jewels, but the bounty for the guy we're looking for is 10 times bigger. Our target is a terrorist or murderer, not some puny womanizer, Natsu stated confidently as they continued to observe the commotion from above. The blonde female wizard stared at the man, surrounded with the crowd of his fangirls. Her heart was beating like crazy, and her face was almost crimson. The man she was staring at was tall and had dark blue hair. He was wearing a short-sleeved shirt, red striped pants, and large bracelets on his right arm. The man was wearing a dark, high-collared cape reaching the back of his knees, and he had two small, barely noticeable rings on his right hand. The man quickly struck a pose, making the other girls go crazy while the blonde continued to stare. Wait, what's happening to me? Why is my heart beating so fast? The blonde girl thought as she was staring at a famous wizard. He talked to a few girls, before turning his head towards Lucy. That playful grin on his face, Blonde quickly grabbed her chest as her heart started beating even faster than before. Is it because he is a famous mage? That is why my heart is beating so fast. I am, maybe. Hearts popped in her eyes, as she got closer to the man, not paying attention to some strange beings on the roof. Maybe, this is, Salamander. Why does that nickname sound somehow familiar to me? Natsu asked himself thoughtfully. Maybe you were a salamander in some parallel universe. Sin speculated casually. And you were some sort of a clown in that universe, or maybe you are, in this one. The salmon-haired boy snorted. I don't know, however, if you think that you may know him, then you should take a closer look. Little Dragon snarled and pushed Natsu from the roof. Not expecting such a treacherous move, salmon-haired warlock fell right into the middle of the crowd around Salamander. Lucy didn't notice anything of those that transpired right above her head, yet some sort of a sixth sense advised her to take a step aside. At the next moment, someone landed right on the spot where Lucy stood just a moment ago. That someone landed on his feet, pretty gracefully, but the element of surprise was huge, nonetheless. Lucy yelped as she almost fell on the ground. Her eyes widened in shock and hearts suddenly fell out of her eyes. Except for Lucy, all other girls ignored Natsu's sudden appearance. Salamander, however, turned his attention toward him as the former closed his eyes and clenched his left palm. Did you just fall from the roof? Salamander asked. He, however, was ignored completely, as if he wasn't there at all. Oh, so you're a humorist now, are you? Natsu said quietly, seemingly addressing someone, but definitely not Salamander, because he was looking somewhere upward and aside. Just let me find you. He made 2 steps forward. Let me pass, will you? Salmon-haired warlock asked Salamander's fangirls to let him pass, but, since all of them were charmed, they weren't listening, so Natsu just made them to step aside and pass through. Complete ignore, Salamander exclaimed in shock, seeing Natsu's actions. Natsu made several more steps alongside the road when he heard that several of the fangirls that were squealing around Salamander just now actually ran after him while yelling at him. Hey, you're so rude. She is right, Mr. Salamander is a great mage. Apologize to him, you can't treat him like this. Natsu, facing girls' sudden anger, just continued to walk. Not that he wasn't surprised, but he definitely hasn't been taken off guard. When chasing girls were about to assault him, they suddenly flew forth as if propelled by some invisible force. They flew across the street and crashed into the trash dumpster. Why do I always have to take care of trash? Natsu wondered with deep sigh. Trash dumpster overturned and girls were buried under a pile of stinky trash, but Natsu just continued his way. Now, I have to find one trashy familiar, he said to himself, moving alongside the town's road, looking for his so-called companion, who pushed him down from the roof. He already forgot about Salamander, and vice versa. So, have you managed to take a good look at his face? The little bony dragon's voice sounded from the roof, right above Natsu. Yeah, just let me get closer to you so I could share my findings, you, good-for-nothing stand-up comedian. Young warlock's eyes emanated crimson light. Sorry, but may I interrupt you? A female voice asked from behind Natsu. You already did, the salmon-haired young man sighed as he turned around. He saw the blonde-haired girl staring at him. She was wearing a white and blue, sleeveless, collared shirt, a blue mini skirt, and high black female boots. She also had a whip with a heart-shaped end, sitting on one hip, and on the other was a bundle of keys. Natsu noticed that she was young and quite cute. Size of her breasts was also quite remarkable. You two want to condemn me for that? I've ignored that fool. Natsu's tone didn't change, his voice was as emotionless as before. No, on the contrary. The girl quickly denied. Sorry if I've interrupted something, I just wanted to say, thank you for your help. She said with a charming smile. My help? Natsu wondered. He couldn't remember helping anyone with anything, not today, at least. Yeah, I'll explain if you're willing to join me for lunch. I'm buying, Lucy offered cheerfully. What's with that sudden surge of virtuousness? Sin asked, as he descended from the roof. That was a mistake. Seemingly Natsu still didn't forgive him, as his left, gloved fist, was slammed into Bony Dragon's head and a little creature crashed onto the ground. She said she's going to explain, didn't she? Natsu asked, before looking at the blonde girl again, who seemed freaked out due to what she just witnessed. Sorry for that unsightly display, please, lead the way. Not that Natsu was greedy, or a freebie lover, but turning down a free lunch without reason wasn't among his rules either, especially during lunchtime. July 2nd, X784, 1310, Town of Harjin, downtown. My name is Lucy, it's nice to meet you, the blonde girl said with a smile as they entered the restaurant. Natsu was behaving like a gentleman. He opened the door for Lucy, helped her take a seat, and started to eat only after she started eating. However, he wasn't that gentle towards Lucy's wallet as he ordered a large number of pricey dishes for himself. Well, nice to meet you, young lady, Sin greeted Lucy. Lucy just nodded. Actually, presence of this little freaky creature was a bit disturbing. Yeah, nice to meet you too, Natsu nodded. My name is Natsu Bloodfallen, and this is my magical familiar, Sin. Lucy gulped a little when she heard the names of these two, but Natsu pretended he didn't notice. So, what did you want to thank me for? Yes, you see, I wanted to thank you for helping me with this charm spell, Lucy explained. That, Natsu nodded. Don't mention it. Even though the charm magic has been banned several years ago, it is still widespread, mostly because of the simple fact that, for some people, it is the only way to get what they want, a pretty girl, in our case. Lucy blushed a little from Natsu's indirect compliment. You are quite aware of magic. Are you two mages? She inquired. Nope. Sin explained again, he's a mage and I'm his magical familiar. Lucy just blinked, she really didn't get what's the difference. We've got a request from this town's council. We have to find and neutralize a dangerous criminal named Bora, Natsu explained, seemingly he had some reasons to believe that this girl has no connections with the underworld. Unfortunately, we have very little information about him, so we are forced to check any suspicious activity, he added. Then why did you not apprehend that guy? Lucy wondered. Salamander was a criminal as far as she could judge. Nah, we know that guy, he is just a stupid poser. We are looking for a terrorist. Sin stated proudly, however, he used one incorrect phrase, he probably meant to say, we know that kind of guy. Wow, you must be very skilled and brave to go against a dangerous criminal all by yourself. Lucy said with slight envy in her voice. It must be so cool to have such skills and confidence to go alone against dangerous suspects. I'm not alone, I have a familiar, Natsu corrected her, and Sin nodded. Lucy was not sure how exactly this strange little guy could help in actual combat, but she decided to cease the development of this subject. You wouldn't guess from my appearance, but I'm a wizard as well, Lucy commented with a smile. Really? Natsu asked, mostly to keep the ball rolling, he wasn't really interested to know her affairs, though he already knew that she's a mage, that bunch of keys on her belt was quite an obvious sign. Yeah, but I'm not a member of any guild yet, she explained. So, you are a wandering wizard now. You want to see the world before joining the guild. Not a bad idea, Natsu nodded, meaning that he understood her position. One can't find her place in the world before learning what this world is about. Yeah, kind of, Lucy mumbled in reply. Honestly, being in company of a full-fledged mage appeared to be a bit uncomfortable for an aspiring newbie as herself. Anyway, I should get going, enjoy your meal and maybe we'll see each other around. Again, thank you for your help, she rose to her feet and moved toward the exit. Are you really okay with paying for us? Natsu asked, even though it was a simple politeness, he already knew the answer. Yeah, of course, don't mention it, she replied with an insincere smile before thinking to herself, even though all that discount money I got thanks to my sex appeal are gone, she shook her head a little before continuing to speak, this is my way of saying thank you for helping me with that charm spell. Alright, good luck to you, Natsu nodded, giving his last goodbye, as Lucy gave the money to the waiter and left the restaurant. It's refreshing to meet a nice girl once in a while, Natsu thought aloud when Lucy left. Yes, but that actually make things even worse, Sin mumbled, have you noticed? He asked. Yeah, that ignorance of local people really annoys me, Natsu shook his head as he put aside an empty plate. She's got quite a talent, which she's going to bury with that celestial spirit magic of hers, a wizard with darkness and void elemental attributes using enchantment-type magic, just a tragicomedy of sort, he sighed. She's among many who could have a big future as a wizard if not for their choice of magic, Sin thought aloud. Don't mind that, if you don't plan to personally inspect every aspiring wizard on this continent, let's not stick our noses into these cases, Natsu noted as he put a plate with a dessert in front of himself. Let's just focus on the task at hand, there's still a bounty I need to claim, he added. July 2nd, X784, 1340, Town of Harjan, Towns Park. After Lucy left the restaurant, she went to a newsstand and purchased the newest issue of A Sorcerer's Weekly, the most popular weekly magazine among wizards, and not just wizards, of this continent. As she walked through the park, the blonde decided to relax on a bench and read a bit. Looks like Fairy Tale is causing troubles again. Let's see, the Aurea castle has been liberated from mages terrorists, however, the castle itself had been leveled to the ground in the process, ahahaha. Talk about going overboard, Lucy giggled as she flipped through the pages before coming to the centerfold, where more pictures of famous mages were located. So, it looks like the centerfold is going to be dedicated to Fairy Tale again, Blonde noted to herself, I bet it'll be their drawing card, Mirajan. She's so pretty, huh? Lucy's eyes widened in shock as she looked at photo on the centerfold as her sight fell on comment, which was attached to the photo, and now are present for the female part of our audience. The most reckless and relentless mage of the year, according to our readers, Natsu Bloodfallen from Fairy Tail. Lucy could not believe her eyes. The guy in the centerfold was exactly the same guy that was sitting right in front of her, in the flesh, just about 20 minutes ago. Lucy examined the photo. Natsu was in his common clothes, however, his coat was unbuttoned, revealing his muscular chest. A large scar alongside his sternum was making him look even manlier. His left hand was covered with blue magical glow and his indifferent face expression was making him look like a hard-to-get guy, thus making him even more desirable for most women. How the hell did I manage to not notice how cool this guy is? Lucy was angry with herself. There was something else that drew her attention. Natsu Bloodfallen, from Fairy Tail. Oh my god, Lucy exclaimed, he is from Fairy Tail. A mage of Fairy Tail was right in front of me and I did not even ask him about the requirements for joining the guild. And he's even a reader's choice. He is famous and I did not recognize him. Damn, I have to start to actually read these magazines instead of just browsing through them. Lucy was very disappointed with herself. Maybe it is not too late. Maybe I could still find him. I have to ask him about Fairy Tail. The blonde girl jumped up from the bench. But suddenly, she heard some man's voice coming from behind her. So, you want to join Fairy Tail, huh? Lucy jerked back in surprise as Salamander emerged from the bushes with a grin on his face. Salamander, the girl called out as she scooted away. I've been looking for you, he said as he walked out of the bushes and made another pose. I want to personally invite you to the party on my ship. Sorry, but your charms won't work on me anymore. The weakness of that spell is awareness. When a target is aware of it, the magic becomes useless, Lucy stated as she made some distance between herself and Salamander. Ah, I noticed that you are a mage when our eyes met. It doesn't matter though, the invitation still stands, he said. No way am I going to be caught at a party with a nasty creep like you, Lucy crossed her arms as she looked away. That seemed to make him flinch. What? Nasty creep, me, she continued, using the forbidden magic to make yourself popular. That's proof enough of what kind of a person you really are. Oh, come now, that's all in good fun. I just wanted to feel like a celebrity at my own party, Salamander lied. Lucy turned around the moment he finished talking. I am beginning to wonder if you really are a popular wizard. No surprise I haven't heard about you before. You are just too pathetic, she said as she started to walk away, not looking back. Hold on for a moment. You wanted to join Fairy Tail, right? The man asked, causing her to freeze mid-step. When she turned her head to look at him, he continued, have you really never heard of Salamander from Fairy Tail? I said I haven't. Wait, what? You are one of the wizards of Fairy Tail? She practically yelled, to which he answered with a slight smile. Yes, I am. I can talk to the master if you're interested in joining, he slowly nodded. The girl simply stared at him in open-mouthed shock for several seconds. Sin's words appeared in her mind, yeah, we know that guy. So, this is how it is, and he called him a stupid poser. Looks like even his own guildmates have quite a little respect towards this one, Blonde was thinking. But who cares? If he actually can help me, Lucy thought before promptly running up and pressing herself against Salamander's side, with big and pretty false smile on her face. I can't wait to go to your party tonight. Salamander gave an airy laugh, gently trying to push her away from himself. That was easier than I thought it would be. Completely oblivious to anything he was saying, she moved to stand right in front of him, with stars in her eyes as she clasped her hands together. Can I really join Fairy Tail? Of course. Just don't tell anyone about the charm magic, Salamander said. No problem, I won't. Lucy replied with readiness. He nodded and looked off into the distance for a moment. Well, my dear, it has been a pleasure. I shall see you at the party tonight. It shouldn't be hard for you to spot my ship when you get to the docks. You got it, Mr. Salamander. Lucy watched until she could no longer see Salamander's back, then something in her brain seemed to click back into a normal sense mode. Oh, crap, I must have fallen for some kind of pseudo-charms. Thinking about it, a smile slowly began to creep across her face. But who cares? I'll just put up with him for a little while until I join Fairy Tail, then I'll ignore him. Woo-woo, July 2nd, X784, 2155, Town of Harjin. It's starting to become troublesome, it already has gotten dark, and we still have found no signs of any suspicious activity, Natsu thought aloud. Looks like it will be even harder than I initially thought, he added, looking at the full moon. Yeah, Sin agreed. If this guy really is a famous terrorist, he is going to do something big. However, Natsu, what if we are just looking in the wrong direction? Sin unwrapped the request list and examined it again. Look, we have to track down Bora's activity and neutralize him if we find something. As it seems, he is a suspect, not a big-time criminal, not yet. But the town's council put out quite a big bounty for him. Why did they do this if he's not a big-time criminal? Natsu asked in reply, because they think that he is up to something big, but it was you who decided that he is a terrorist. Maybe he actually is a dangerous spy, or a big-time thief or something. We have to find some proofs first, Sin noted. Very well, let's do this that way, Natsu replied as a loud, female's voice interrupted his phrase. Hey look, that's Mr. Salamander's ship, a young woman's voice exclaimed. Natsu and Sin turned to the two girls talking. It's too bad, I wanted to go to the party too. Who's Salamander? The second girl questioned. He's a really famous wizard that's in town right now, the first girl gave a reply. He's also a member of that great guild, Fairy Tale. Natsu tilted his head as his left eye blazed with cold, dark blue flame. Fairy Tale, was it? He asked and turned towards the gulf. It was quite easy to spot a single ship sailing onto the open sea. Natsu might withstand some idiot who uses forbidden magic to get girls' attention, but this, several cracks appeared beneath Natsu's feet. So, he's a member of Fairy Tale, is he? Natsu asked with narrow eyes. Sin, I think we need to talk with our fellow guildmate, don't you agree? July 2nd, X784, 2200, Harjan's water area, Salamander's ship. So, your name is Lucy? Salamander asked, looking at her. That's a very pretty name. Yeah, thanks, she responded as she looked around the room. Only the two of them were present here as all the other girls were partying outside. Let's toast your beauty with a glass of wine first, he said as he poured a bottle of wine into 2 glasses. Don't you have other girls to attend to? Blonde asked, wanting to get as far away from this man as possible until they reached Fairy Tale. That's okay, he brushed her comment off. I just think I like drinking with you. With a snap of his fingers, pearl-shaped droplets rose out of the glass of wine and headed towards Lucy, very slowly. Try opening your mouth. Pearls of wine will slowly come in, savor every one of them, Salamander said with a lot of histrionics in his voice. How annoying, I just have to be patient. Lucy thought as she closed her eyes and opened her mouth. Patience, Lucy, you can do this. Just be patient, she quickly opened her eyes and smacked the wine drops away. What are you planning, you nasty creep? She questioned as Salamander's eyes widened in surprise. This is a sleeping drug, is it not? What do you think you're doing? He smirked as he brought a hand to his chin. Ooh, how did you know? Don't misunderstand me, I really want to join the Fairy Tale Guild, but I have no intention at all of becoming your girlfriend. You're a bad girl, he said before he snapped his fingers again. If you were to just sleep peacefully, you would not have to get hurt. A large number of men appeared, each holding one of the party guests. Lucy gulped. 2 of Salamander's men quickly approached Lucy from behind and grabbed her hands. Oh, good job, Mr. Salamander, one of them said. We haven't had such a pretty one for a while, another one agreed. What is going on? Lucy yelled, who are you? Salamander grabbed her chin. Welcome to our slave ship, he said with an evil smirk. I must ask you to remain silent until we get to Bosco, lady. What? Lucy exclaimed in shock as 2 men held her arms. Bosco. Hey, what happened to Fairy Tale? I told you, it's a slave ship, he said before giving a dark chuckle. I brought you in as a merchandise from the beginning. Just give up, you thought this out well, boss. When girls are influenced by charm, they will fawn to become our merchandise, one of Salamander's men said. It seems that charms don't work on this lady, so, we'll just have to train her a little, another one grinned evilly. No, this can't be, she could not believe it as Salamander reached toward her leg and grabbed her gate keys. As he backed away, she thought, what is he? How could someone do something like this? The keys of the gates, huh, I see, you are the celestial spirit magic user, he sneered. Celestial spirit magic, what is that? We have absolutely no clue about magic. Well, don't worry about it, Salamander replied. Only the contracted mages can use this magic, meaning it's useless to me, he added and tossed the keys out the window. So, this, Lucy thought, tears were forming in her eyes as she glared at the man. This is a mage of Fairy Tale. Salamander reached behind a divider and pulled out a hot branding iron. Let me brand you as a slave first, he said as he came closer to Lucy. It'll be a little hot, but please bear with it. Abusing magic, cheating on people, and performing slavery, Lucy said as tears welled up in her eyes, you're the worst mage ever. Suddenly, a bright flash, accompanied by a loud slicing sound, illuminated the stateroom. In the next moment, an entire roof and upper parts of stateroom's walls were torn off from the ship and flew into the sea as a figure, dressed into long, one-sleeved coat, landed in front of Lucy, almost like a few hours ago. Mr. Natsu, Lucy happily exclaimed, wiping her tears off as the guys who held her arms released her and stepped back. Stay calm, girl, right now I require your cooperation, Natsu said, looking at Salamander. Lucy noticed that he was holding a sword in his gloved left hand, beautiful, literally perfect, katana. The brat from earlier, Salamander shouted in surprise. Natsu ignored him. No time to explain, I think this belongs to you, he said and held out a bunch of keys to Lucy. Blonde hurriedly took her keys, but she had no time to say thanks as someone grabbed Lucy by her shoulders and lifted her into the air. Sin, move her away from the ship. Girl, I've noticed that you have the key of the water bearer. Summon it and order it to throw this ship to the dry land. But Mr. Natsu, how do you? Lucy tried to ask. No time to explain. Sin, go. Natsu commanded and Sin carried Lucy away. Don't let them get away. Salamander yelled. Prominence whip. A magical seal appeared in front of him, but before it was able to produce any magical effect, Natsu sliced the seal with his sword. Honestly, if I were you, I wouldn't have been worried about girls right now, salmon-haired warlock noted, pointing at Salamander with his katana. What is he going to do? Lucy asked as a little bony dragon landed on the sea surface. Surprisingly, they did not submerge in water. Lucy was able to stand on its surface, which became partly frozen. What? How? She seemed confused. So, this magical familiar can actually use magic, after all. Not now, Blonde. Listen to me. There will be a fight aboard the ship, and it might suffer some severe damage. This ship may sink and all the sleeping girls on board will drown, Sin explained, so just do as Natsu asked, bring the ship to the shore so Natsu will be able to fight normally. Yes, but, Lucy tried to said, Natsu's safety isn't your concern, better think about safety of all the kidnapped girls. Just do as Natsu asked. Sin cut her off. Okay, he actually did not ask, he ordered, but Lucy got the idea. Okay, I'll do it, she said with determination. Lucy grabbed the golden key with a water-like ornament on it. Here we go. Open. Gate of the water bearer, Aquarius. A mermaid-like spirit emerged from the blue magic seal that Lucy's key created. She had a long, blue scaled tail, large breasts, long light blue hair, and she wore a revealing bikini top. She had 2 gold armlets and a circlet with a jewel on her forehead. Also, she was wielding a large golden jug. Now you're talking our language, Sin said with approval as he looked at the mermaid spirit. Blonde pointed at Salamander's ship. Now, Aquarius, use your power to send that ship back to the coast. Lucy ordered. However, despite just receiving a direct order, all that Aquarius gave to Lucy was a small, TCH. Did you just say, TCH? Lucy exclaimed angrily. You're not supposed to come from the stellar spirit world to show me your attitude. You are here to help me. You are such a noisy kid, Aquarius spoke out, catching the girl's attention. Let me tell you one thing. If you drop the keys again, I'll kill you. She warned with a very dark glare. I'm sorry, it won't happen again, promise. Lucy replied with a sweat drop. Aquarius gathered a large amount of magical water into her golden jug and, with a war cry, released it in the form of a giant tsunami wave that spiraled towards the ship. The wave got the ship, but it also engulfed Lucy. Sin did not expect something like that, so he had no time to lift Lucy in the air. Don't flush me along with it, Lucy cried out as she was sucked into the giant wave. Looks like that blonde is worth something. After all, Natsu thought aloud as entire ship was flipped and pushed towards the shore. Its passengers except for Natsu were crashing into everything on board. Natsu plunged his katana into the floor and used it as a handrail. The waves slammed the ship onto the port, also flushing and damaging some of the town's buildings. What were you thinking, Aquarius? How could you flush me too? Lucy yelled at the water spirit, who shook her head and made a facepalm gesture. My bad, it was an accident, I flushed the ship as well, Aquarius stated with a calm face. Wait, Were you aiming at me in the first place? The angered girl's question was ignored as Aquarius turned away and began to glow with blue light. Don't call me for a while, I'm going on a week-long trip with my boyfriend. Aquarius smiled as she turned her head and repeated her last phrase before disappearing, with my boyfriend. No need to repeat, Lucy exclaimed furiously as Sin landed near the stellar mage. She can be so selfish. Blonde complained. And how often does this happen? Sin asked in a neutral voice. I mean, how often your own magic does whatever it wants instead of carrying out your orders? Hey, you can't say that. Don't call my spirits, they are not just some spells. They are alive, Lucy protested. Whatever you say, Sin yawned. They just seem unreliable to me. By the way, Lucy asked acidly, what the hell are you, anyway? I'm already told you, I'm Natsu's magical familiar, the little dragon stated as if it was pretty obvious. By the way, how did you end up on his ship? Bony creature wondered. Ugh, Lucy gulped, seemingly for her that was quite a shameful matter. He promised to help me join Fairy Tail, and I'm, kinda. Huh, you want to join Fairy Tail? Sin seemed surprised, then why didn't you ask us? Don't tell me you actually didn't, Rico. He was interrupted by a loud explosion. A large hole appeared in the ship's starboard side. It seemed that Salamander tried to hit Natsu with some spell but missed. Few moments later several of his men flew out of the ship through that hole. So, let's make this clear, you are the Salamander of Fairy Tail? Natsu asked with an emotionless voice, making Salamander to chuckle a little. What's it to you? He turned to his men and gave the order, get rid of him, boys. Man, why it always has to be like this? You still haven't realized who you're dealing with. Natsu sighed heavily. All of you, on the ground, now, faces down, hands behind backs, Natsu demanded, give up willingly and maybe, just maybe, I'll spare your worthless lives. Mr. Natsu, be careful. Lucy screamed, but Natsu did not pay any attention to her. Relax, Lucy, just watch, it will be a good show. Natsu got his nickname, the Crimson Cardinal, for a good reason. Sin calmed her down. What, you mean he is the Crimson Cardinal? Now Lucy remembered, Natsu was mentioned in Sorcerer's Weekly several times by his nickname, not by his real name. Yep, so, keep calm, the best thing you can do is to stay out of his way, Sin nodded. Several of Salamander's men rushed toward Natsu, but some invisible force smashed them to the ground with a mere wave of his right hand. His left, gloved hand still was clenching the hilt of his sword. My name is Natsu Bloodfallen, and I am a senior mage of Fairy Tail, Natsu declared. And I want to ask you something. If you're a member of our guild, why this is the first time I'm seeing you? Senior mage, what does that mean? Lucy asked. I'll explain later, Lucy, Natsu's familiar replied. In the meantime, one of Salamander's men recalled something. Bloodfallen, wait, boss, I remembered something. He is considered the one of the most famous and merciless bounty hunters in Fury. This guy's the real deal, Mr. Bora. Don't call me that, you fool. Bora responded, his voice cracked a little from his surprise about a famous bounty hunter being here. Natsu's eyes flashed with crimson light. Oh, so you are Bora. I've remembered now, you're also known as Bora the Prominent. You are the one who was kicked out from Kylum Wizards Guild the Titan's Nose, because you abused magic to commit theft and many other crimes. Poor Natsu, Sin commented. He has almost perfect memory, yet he keeps forgetting names and titles. That's what I'd call an irony. I came to this town to neutralize you to begin with. You have a 700,000 jewels bounty for your head. However, thanks to your charming magic, no one was able to describe you properly, though, this is no longer the matter. You dared to use our guild's name to cover your operation and lure several people to turn them into slaves. Natsu spoke as he walked towards Bora. You're not going to get away with it. Don't get me wrong, I'm still planning to hand you over to the authorities and collect that extra bounty for bringing you alive, which means that I can't just behead you, but there are punishments worse than death. You definitely talk a lot, brat. Let's see how you can handle me. Bora sneered as he extended his arms and magic seal appeared in front of him, releasing a spiral of flames at approaching Natsu, Prominence Typhoon. Mr. Natsu, Lucy shouted as she tried to head into the battle, but Sin grabbed her by her skirt and pulled her back, preventing Lucy from getting any closer to Natsu. Just watch, Lucy, magical familiar said. Natsu swung his sword, creating a shockwave and sending it forth. Spiral of magic flames clashed with shockwave and instantly turned into thousands of very small pieces of flame. Every little flame collided with the surface and produced a little explosion, which did not hurt anyone. 700,000, just for this? Natsu asked himself, as even Lucy could feel his disappointment. What, did he, just sliced my magic with his sword? Bora asked in shock. Suddenly, Natsu took a very deep breath, as if he was trying to suck something from the air. At the same time, several red, glowing clouds detached from Bora's men, which still were lying nearby. Bora's thugs fell unconscious, and Natsu consumed all the clouds. Disgusting, Natsu said as he finished devouring that red substance. How did you manage to acquire so big reward for your head being so weak yourself and with such pathetic people around you? Bora, Lucy, and everyone else, who were not unconscious, all were staring in shock as Natsu wiped his mouth. What the hell is this kid? Bora cried out as his remaining men began to panic. Aggression towards Natsu only makes him stronger, Sin said as his empty eye sockets began to emanate a blue glow. What was that? What did he do? Lucy muttered. Natsu can consume unreleased aggression from the defeated enemies, Little Dragon explained as if it was nothing special. Anyway, thanks for the dinner, Natsu looked at Bora again. Now, since we've done with the formalities, let battle rejoice. Natsu declared as he swung his sword towards remaining Bora's men, sending forth an arc-shaped shockwave. They were all smashed into the remains of Bora's ship. Ship crumbled, burying them alive beneath the mound of debris. Do you have any idea about what kind of wizards we actually have in fairy tale? Let me show you then. War God's Howl. Natsu unleashed a huge, powerful stream of crimson energy at his enemy. Somehow, Bora managed to barely avoid that attack, using his red carpet spell to ascend into the air at the last moment. Unbelievable, Lucy whispered. Remember well this lesson, Natsu said, pointing at Salamander, as his eyes were burning with bright crimson light. Natsu shot forward at incredible speed as Bora quickly cast his next spell in an attempt to stop his opponent. Red Shower. Bora sent multiple flaming orbs, aiming at Natsu, who easily avoided them. The salmon-haired warlock shrouded his legs in crimson energy and jumped up to Bora and flipped over him, bringing his leg down to kick him in the head. War God's Shock Strike. The blow was powerful enough to smash the slaver mage into a port building on the other side of town. Natsu dashed after Bora with incredible speed. He eats this red thing, and then attacks with it. What kind of magic is this? Lucy questioned as she was observing that one-sided struggle. Obviously, Bora has no chance of winning this battle. Well, the crimson energy that Natsu uses in combat, let's call it the power of the God of War. The God of War is able to breathe passion by his lungs, consume the fury by his mouth and bring destruction by his fists and weapon, Sin explained as he stood at Lucy's side. His brand of ancient magic lets him obtain all the qualities of a god. Natsu learned it from the goddess who raised him, the supreme goddess of war, High Lady Morrigan. You got to be kidding me, he learned this from the real goddess. Lucy whispered as Bora flew into the sky and gathered a lot of magic before releasing it into the town in the shape of a large purple beam. Hell Prominence. As the beam came closer to the buildings, Natsu appeared and blocked it with his blade, preventing the enemy's spell from wrecking the town's buildings. You're only making things worse for yourself, Natsu noted as he landed on the roof of one of the buildings, again pointing at Bora with his katana. Its name is War God Slayer Magic. Originally, it was a god's interception magic. By the way, Natsu possesses some other useful magical powers, Sin finished, making Lucy look at him in confusion. Amazing, I've never heard of magic like that, Lucy exclaimed in astonishment. You're at the very beginning of your path as a wizard. If you'll follow it, you're going to learn a whole lot of amazing things, Sin shrugged as the battle came close to its conclusion. Screw you, Bora bellowed as he was building his magic up again and conjuring a giant ball of fire. Red Skull. He threw the ball at Natsu, who covered his fist with crimson energy and smashed the fireball into 1,000 pieces. That's enough, the God Slayer said. I'm running out of time, after all, I'm here to collect the bounty for you and win a bet. So, I'm just a source of money for you, Bora said, freaked out at what Natsu just said. That's another irony of fate, quite a lot of it for one day, don't you think? People are the merchandise, for both of us. Only difference that my business is socially useful and legal, Natsu replied as he suddenly appeared right in front of Bora with his right fist once again glowing with crimson energy. Get out of my sight, War God's crushing fist. The God Slayer slammed his fist into Bora's face and sent him flying across the entire town, toward the town's church. But, even before Bora managed to reach his destination, Natsu was already there, with his sword ready to strike. Ah, Lucy yelped as she realized that this was not going to end up well. She didn't want to see what's going to happen, but for some reason, she just couldn't divert her eyes from Natsu. But, to Lucy's surprise, Bora wasn't impaled on Natsu's sword. Instead, he was impaled on some sort of a torch, made of dark blue energy, as Bora's body didn't get any visible damage. A few seconds later the torch dissipated, and Bora's body lifelessly fell on the ground. Oh, Sin said with false regret, I guess he actually was angry at that Bora guy, after all. What happened? Lucy asked, eyeing Bora's unmoving body. He didn't kill him, right? Apparently, the blonde was kind and forgiving person. Even though Bora tried to enslave her, she didn't think that he deserved a death penalty. No, Natsu himself replied as his sword was literally soaked into his left arm. For his crimes against Kingdom of Fiore and its people, he will be judged by Fiore's court, or maybe they'll hand him over to the Magic Council to pass judgment, I don't really care. But he also committed a crime against our guild, using its name to cover his pathetic machinations. For that, I judged him myself. As a punishment, I've destroyed his magic sleep, sometimes it's called a lower dantian, or just a manipool, a container of sort that stores ethernano inside of wizard's body. He will not be able to use magic ever again. Is that even possible? Lucy exclaimed in shock as Natsu approached her. Everything is possible if you know the right trick, however, I don't think that you need to remember that I know this one, God Slayer added as his left hand abruptly shot forth and he lightly touched Lucy's forehead with his middle and index fingers. Lucy immediately lost consciousness and fell to the ground. Nice, you just met her, yet you already did this, Sin shook her head. It's for her own good, Natsu noted, quinimo beati ki nesciant. Sigh despite he had no lungs, Sin sighed heavily, he just didn't know what to reply. She is the least of our problems now, though, Natsu noted, looking around, it happened again, does it? The port was in ruins, debris was scattered all over the place, several of the townhouses were in flames. Despite all those efforts to protect the town, I even used my sword to block the offensive spells. Yeah, but you were swinging your sword hit and miss. Moreover, you ordered Lucy to flush the ship back to port with a tsunami, Sin reminded. This is not good. Neutralizing criminals also means protecting civilian property from them, but I got carried away and failed that part, Natsu sighed, they're going to reduce my payment, no doubts. Anyway, what's about the girl? Sin asked. What's about the girl? Natsu returned the question, as he again looked at Lucy, and then at Sin. Well, she provided assistance you requested, don't you think she deserved something for her help? The familiar asked, you're suggesting me to share my reward. Listen, I don't want to look unthankful, but right now isn't the best time for generosity, you're well aware of my circumstances, Natsu replied. It's not that, Sin shook his bony skull, while we were talking, she expressed her wish to join Fairy Tail, Sin explained, though he decided to omit some circumstances. Really? Natsu asked, he was even surprised a bit. Didn't she told us that she's doing just fine as an independent mage, just a few hours ago? Actually, she didn't, Sin replied. True to his words, she actually never mentioned anything about being fine. Anyway, I guess it won't hurt if we take her with us. Lil Dragon suggested, if it's that simple then we certainly can take her with us, Natsu replied as he picked Lucy up and placed her over his right shoulder. God Slayer pointed at Bora's body and Sin picked it up. They headed towards City Hall to turn Bora in and close the request. I can introduce her to the guild. Will she join or not, though, it is up to her, Natsu concluded. Chapter 2, Welcome to Fairy Tail, July 3rd, year X 784, 1400, Magic Council Era HQ. Can you believe it? Those idiots of Fairy Tail have done it again. This time they've managed to turn an entire port into smoldering ruins. One of the council members exclaimed, banging his fists on the table. I believe you should be saying, managed to ravage the entire port, I guess he'll like it more, Altair said with a cunning smile. News of Natsu's battle against Bora reached Era at the very next day and Magic Council gathered for an unscheduled meeting to discuss the recent incident, in which Fairy Tail's members were involved once again. You think this is funny, Altair? Growled a tall old man with a little bat sitting on his head. That's enough. We are gathered here to discuss Fairy Tail's recent activity, not to fight each other, an old woman interjected. We should not take this matter lightly. I wouldn't have been surprising if an entire town would have simply disappeared one day, the old man with the bat said. Anyway, I reported to the government that they did it to arrest the slaver Bora. Apparently, that was an official request from the town's municipal council, Seagrain said casually. Moreover, I like that bunch of idiots. It's true that they're a bunch of fools, but it's also true that they have a lot of skillful and reliable mages, Councillor Yujima nodded. That's why we are quite at a loss, the old woman said. Indeed, it is a tricky subject, the old man with the bat agreed. Just let them be. After all, if it was not for dimwits like them, think how boring this world would be, Seagrain said, causing most of council members to growl powerlessly, while Yujima smiled and Altair chuckled a little. You definitely do have a style, my dear Cardinal. I hope I'll be able to meet you one day and we'll have some fun, my dear Natsu, Altair thought to herself, licking her lips at the thought of the young warlock wearing the black gold one-sleeved coat. July 4th, year X 784, 1120, town of Magnolia, Fairy Tail Guildhall. Well, this is the place, blonde, Natsu waved his right arm forth, as he, Lucy and Sin approached Fairy Tail main building. It's huge, Lucy exclaimed with an excited smile on her face. You surely are an unpretentious person, Natsu noted to himself, observing the girl's reaction. Welcome to Fairy Tail then, the little bony creature made a welcoming gesture. Alright, if you didn't change your mind and still want to join, follow me, Natsu headed toward Guild's doors, prompting Lucy to follow. Right, Lucy still seemed very excited. Natsu approached the double door and pushed it open with a sweep of his right hand. The door opened wide and Natsu stepped inside, inviting Lucy to walk inside as well. Hey people, we're back, Sin announced. He was sitting on Natsu's shoulder. Welcome back, guys, several people greeted them, others nodded to them or waved. A man with buckteeth looked at Natsu with quite stupid grin on his face. Hey, Natsu, I heard that you've managed to burn down half of Harjan during your last mission. You really know how to make a good impri. That was all he was able to say before he got smashed in the back of his head with a flying chair. He crashed into another table and wrecked a few chairs as well. Be silent, Natsu said indifferently, though his attitude seemed quite haughtily. When you'll manage to make any kind of impression on anyone, with a job well done, I promise to listen to the whole story, from the beginning until the very end, Godslayer added. However, it seemed that no one heard Natsu because the man with buckteeth attracted everyone's attention. You bastard, how dare you interfere with my lunch? Another man shouted. His table overturned and food now was all over the floor. It was not my fault, it's Natsu's. The buck-toothed man protested. His words fell on deaf ears. You want to fight? Let's go, bring it on, the buck-toothed man shouted before the two began to fight. Their malice has quickly spread to the rest of the guild, turning a fight between the two of them into an everyone for himself battle royal. Lucy stood staring in amazement as she watched everyone and everything inside the guild. Whoa, I really am in Fairy Tail. She practically squealed before continuing to watch the fight. The brawl turned into a huge mix of humans, dust and wooden furniture as more and more mages were joining in. However, out of the corner of her eye she noticed that Natsu did not join the fight, not that it was expected. Instead, he headed to the bar counter and joined some black-haired woman, who wore brown pants and a sea blue colored bikini top. Joined, isn't the right word though, just sat nearby, would be better description. Lucy spent almost entire yesterday in company of that man, and learned the basics about his behavior, not that he seemed unsociable, just somewhat aloof. Kana, I assume everything's going well in here? He asked the woman wearing the bikini top. Well, yes, I mean, it was, until you started this, she rolled her eyes and pointed at the brawl. I didn't start anything, just gave them initial impulse, at best, Natsu denied the accusations. Better tell me, has Gray returned from his mission? The God Slayer inquired. Nope, looks like his mission appeared to be a bit tougher than he initially assumed, or he again lost his pants somewhere and now he's looking for them. Kana giggled, Natsu just shook his head slightly. Understood. Is Mirajan here? He asked. Yep, she's around here somewhere, probably in the basement. Kana looked back at the fight before giving a sigh. Ah, they're so noisy, I need a drink. She reached for the barrel next to her and began to drink right from it, taking big gulps. Natsu just turned away and Lucy stared at her as Blonde's eyes widened in shock. Don't mind her, Sin noted as he flew closer to Lucy. Most of our wizards have a few quirks. Lucy shook her head, trying to focus. So, Mr. Natsu can also use telekinesis magic? The blonde asked as she remembered the scene when Natsu tossed the chair into another person without touching it. Yep, but only at level that is quite basic. He never really trained to use it on advanced level. This magic's just too predictable for being used in a real combat. Besides, telekinesis is void-based, and Natsu has an opposite attribute, Sin explained. Still, sometimes it's quite useful in a regular daily life. Listening to Sin's explanation, Lucy heard a few unknown definitions, but before she could ask for some clarification, someone else appeared right in front of her. Yapping in the middle of the day, "You're not little kids, you know," a man with tall and muscular appearance said as he walked up to the brawl. His name was Elfman Stratus. Lucy couldn't help it but become a little nervous around him due to his size. "So fight with your fists to show your manhood," he suddenly announced. So it all came down to fighting, after all, Lucy facepalmed. "Elfman, get away from here, you're annoying me," Natsu said, not raising his voice as he rose his left arm and Elfman suddenly flew forth, crashing into the wall at the other side of the guildhall. Seemingly, Natsu used the same telekinesis magic. Kana raised her eyebrow and looked at Natsu. "No, Kana, it has nothing to do with those events. I forgave him long ago, you know it. It's just as I said, I can't take it when someone starts acting smart and swing his hands right in front of me," Natsu noted, examining his left arm. Well, Elfman really stood too close to him, swinging his arms, just a bit closer and he could actually hit Natsu. Lucy was about to ask what he was talking about, mentioning those events, when she heard another man's voice behind her. "It's so noisy around here," someone said with a soft voice, causing Lucy to turn around, only to see a bright orange-haired young man wearing sunglasses, sitting there with two girls on his lap. She knew who he is. His name was Kurosuke Ichi, ahem, Loki. "Ah, Loki, the top-ranked, mage you want to have as your boyfriend," Lucy thought as she stared at him in delight. "I'm going to join the fight now," he announced as he stood up. "Of course, only for you two, ladies," he winked to his girls, causing hearts to appear in their eyes. "And his image is officially corrupted." Lucy took out a marker and crossed Loki's photo out of her potential boyfriend list. "What's with this place?" she mumbled. "It seems like none of them are normal. What do we have here, a newcomer?" A nice voice sounded from behind her. When Lucy turned around, her eyes met with a very pretty girl, with large sky blue eyes and snow-colored hair. She was standing there with her usual welcoming smile, holding a tray full of drinks with one hand and adjusting her hair with another. Lucy knew who this girl is, as well. "Mirajan, the real one," she exclaimed, winning her a chuckle from the waitress. Though, both girls' attention was shifted as they heard Natsu's voice. "Hi there, Jane," Natsu greeted her as Sin waved to Mirajan, welcoming her. The little bony creature now was sitting near the God Slayer, on the bar counter. "Era, you two are back already?" Mira gave the two of them a very warm smile. "Jane?" Lucy inquired. "Yep, Natsu preferred to use second half of her name as a diminutive name," Sin explained, "and she isn't responding if someone else calls her like that, by the way, but you can call her Mira, just like everyone else here do." "Aha," Lucy murmured thoughtfully. "I heard about your thundering success on your last mission," Platinum Blonde said, giggling. "I wish it was at least thundering, but no, I just lost money over nothing," Natsu sighed heavily. Lucy couldn't remember the fight's conclusion. She was knocked out in the middle of it when she came too close, at least she was told so, though, even summarizing that she could remember, that battle seemed pretty reckless. "Chin up, Natsu, not all is lost yet," Platinum Blonde tried to reassure him. "I'm sure you still have a chance to win your bet, just take another mission tomorrow." "I hope you're right. Anyway, we have a newcomer here," he said, as he nodded towards the Stellar Spirit Mage. "She provided assistance during my mission and helped to preserve civilians' lives whilst I was arresting my target, so I think she has some potential." Natsu didn't call Lucy by name because he couldn't recall it. "I think she may be a valuable addition to our family," the God Slayer explained. "Wow, that's a high praise coming from Natsu," Mira said as she looked at Lucy. She then turned back to the God Slayer with slightly narrowed eyes. "However, Natsu, I hope her potential has nothing to do with her breast size." "Why, you think there are some dependencies?" Natsu asked as he glanced at Mirajan's own huge bust, You wish to discuss your own variables. Humph. Platinum Blonde snorted, turning away, yet she still smiled a bit shyly. Alright, welcome to Fairy Tale, Mirajan then said cheerfully as she turned back to Lucy, and thank you for helping with Natsu's mission. Oh, it was nothing, Lucy waved off the thanks. Mr. Natsu was the one who did most of the fighting, I only provided a bit of help. She looked back at the brawl, then back at Mirajan. Don't you think we should stop them? Not really, it's better to let them continue until they finish. Besides, as Mirajan was speaking, Natsu waved his left arm towards flying bottle that was heading straight at Myra's head, and the bottle first froze in the air and then flew back the way it came from, twice as fast. In a moment, the sound of shattered glass, followed by a plaintive squeal, could be heard. It's quite fun that way, don't you think? Platinum Blonde smiled as if nothing happened, whilst Lucy was freaked out by her behavior. A moment later, Lucy noticed a table flying towards her and scrambled to dodge it, but suddenly she found herself picked up by Loki in the nick of time. Natsu continued to chat with Mirajan, again, as if nothing happened. Ah geez, people with no elegance are really troublesome, don't you think? Loki said to the quite shocked Lucy. By the way, which modeling agency do you belong to? Loki didn't finish his phrase as he was punched in the face by Elfman. Real men should fight with their fists, Elfman shouted, sending Loki crashing into a column. In the next moment Big Guy himself was tackled away by two bodies. Kana, who was still sitting at the bar, turned around in her seat. Ah, so noisy, I can't even drink peacefully, it's time to stop this, she mumbled, pulling out one of her cards. She prepared to use her magic cards, as green magical seal appeared. Okay guys, time to stop that nonsense. No awa, Elfman roared as stone debris began to cover his right arm, as purple seal moved along it. Oh dear, what a troublesome bunch, Loki said as his magic ring started to glow. It seems that things actually began to heat up, Natsu noted as he watched his guild members preparing to use their magic. He still seemed completely indifferent, though. This is getting a little too intense, Mirajan sighed as she scratched her chin. But before anyone could do anything magical, a giant foot came down in the middle of the guild hall, virtually splitting the room in two. That's enough. Lucy looked up with wide eyes at the giant creature standing there. Cut it out, you fools. The giant commanded, making everyone to freeze. The only people who remained calm were Mirajan and Natsu. He is humongous, Lucy thought in a panic. Oh, Master, I wasn't aware of that. You've already came back, Mirajan smiled. Master, Lucy's mouth dropped open in shock. Greetings, Mr. Makarov, Sin welcomed old man as Natsu slightly bowed his head. Did you say master? Blonde inquired, unable to divert her eyes from the giant, who turned his head to look at them. Hello there, youngsters, Makarov replied before noticing Lucy among them. And what do we have here? He inquired as he started to transform back to his original form and walked up to Lucy, who just could not believe her eyes. A newcomer, huh, he is so tiny, he's really the master? Lucy asked. Physical size means quite little when it comes to magic, Natsu explained as Sin nodded. I would like you to meet the guild master of Fairy Tale, Makarov, Mirajan introduced. Nice to meet you, Master said, giving her a small wave before jumping up onto the railing, smacking his head to the wall in the process. He, however, quickly recomposed himself as he now stood on second floor's fences, looking at everyone, quite sternly. You have gone and done it again, you bunch of goofs. He shouted, waving with thick pile of paper at them. Look at all this paperwork which Magic Council has sent me. This is the biggest pile of complaints we've had yet. First, Gray, he started as he read from the list. Good job on sweeping out the smuggling organization, but then you walked around the town naked and stole underwear that was being dried. Master, Gray did not come back yet, Mirajan pointed out. Moreover, wouldn't it be worse if he were naked? Elfman muttered. He should not be naked in the first place, Kana noted with sigh. Not back yet, okay, I'll deal with him later. Then, Kana, Makarov sighed before he turned to her and continued to read the reports. You have to stop buying alcohol and then charging it to the council's credit. This recent charge was for 15 big barrels. So, they found out, she said, rubbing the back of her head. She seemingly underestimated them. Elfman, you had a mission to escort the VIP, but you assaulted him during the mission, Master continued. He said, men are all about education, so, the big guy replied while scratching his cheek. Makarov shook his head slightly at those words. Loki, you were flirting with Magic Council member's granddaughter, Elder Raiji specifically, and a certain talent agency charged us for damage compensation, too. Loki turned away from the master, looking down in shame. Makarov turned to look at Natsu, who still was sitting near the counter, looking somewhere aside, as if everything what was going on right now has nothing to do with him. Master Makarov hung his head in defeat. In Natsu, this time you managed to exceed yourself. Good job with liberating the Oria castle, but, you know, there were other options to deal with terrorists, aside from obliterating the entire castle. There is also a short list of your recent exploits: leveling a historical clock tower in Tully village, annihilating a church in Frisia, incinerating several parts of Lupinus castle. Nazuna Ravine Observatory has been leveled to the ground, and just yesterday the entire port of Harjan town has been turned upside down. At your service, Natsu saluted to Master, retaining his indifferent voice, though Lucy noticed somewhat helpless expression on his face as Murajan giggled at his reaction and Makarov facepalmed. So, it was Mr. Natsu behind most of the articles in the magazines, huh? Lucy thought as she stared at the God Slayer. To be honest, on that last one, Sin called out while pointing at Lucy, she was responsible for about 1/3 of the damage. What did I do? Lucy asked as she crossed her arms. He is the one who caused that blast. Let it go, Sin, Natsu addressed his familiar. It is true that in order to send the ship back to the port she summoned a huge tsunami, which also caused some damage to the port's infrastructure and town's buildings, but it was me who ordered her to do so, Natsu explained, winning a warm smile from Murajan. It was my operation, so I'm taking all the responsibility for that incident. Lucy looked at him with somewhat strange expression and tried to say something, but nothing came to her mind. For some reason she felt herself guilty a bit. I am not even a guild member yet, but I've already began to cause troubles. Makarov continued down the list, naming many wizards in the building: Levi, Jet, Droy, Max, Warren, Biska, Alzak, Nab, Vegeta, Redis, Lackey, and others. The named mages were becoming confused and tried to avoid looking at the guild master as soon as their names have been called. The old man started to tremble as he finished with the papers, which were being crushed by Makarov's tight grip. Guys, thanks to you the council members are angry at me all the time, Makarov growled, causing everyone to shiver a bit, except for Natsu and Murajan. But, I say, forget about the fools of the council. He shouted with a pleased smile as the pack of papers turned to ash. Makarov's outburst about the council made Lucy look up at him in surprise. Everyone was silent as the guild master spoke, almost all of them were paying an undivided attention to his words. Master continued his speech, now listen up. The powers to overcome reasoning are born from reason. Magic is not a miracle, it's a power of our own souls. When the spirit that flows within us and the spirit that flows in nature connects in perfect union, they will form an embodiment for the first time. You will need a strong mentality and a lot of concentration for that. I mean, pouring all of your soul into whatever you do, this is what we call magic. If you keep worrying about watchful eyes of the higher ups, your magic won't improve. Screw those old farts from the council, don't let them scare you with their rules. Do whatever you think is right. That's the only way for fairy tale wizards. He finished his speech with a cheerful yell. The entire guild followed his example, cheering as Makarov finished his speech. As the guild hall was filled with loud excited shouts and laughing, Lucy noticed that Natsu was not cheering with the others. He still was sitting near the counter, looking around and examining other guildmates, and calculating something in his mind, as if evaluating them. July 4th, year X 784, 1225, Town of Magnolia, Fairy Tale Guildhall. You want it here? Murajan asked before placing the magic stamp at the back of Lucy's right palm. Yes, Lucy answered without hesitation. There you go, Murajan said cheerfully as she removed the stamp from Lucy's hand, revealing a newly placed, pink guild mark. Now you're officially a part of Fairy Tale. Whoa, Lucy exclaimed joyfully as she stared at the mark and turned towards the next table where Natsu and Sin were sitting. Murajan went away to put the magic stamp back on its place before returning to her work. Natsu was writing something in his black, leather-bound notepad. Sin was reading, sitting on Natsu's shoulder. Mr. Natsu, look, I've just got the guild mark of Fairy Tale. Lucy grinned as she showed her new mark to the God Slayer. Nice, Welcome to the guild, Missy, Natsu replied without lifting his eyes from his notepad. He still got no success in remembering Lucy's name. I'm Lucy, Blonde yelled angrily. Don't mind him, Lucy, Mirajan called to her from behind the counter. It is his well-known quirk that he keeps forgetting names. Don't worry, 3 or 4 days and he will remember yours, probably, Mira smiled wryly. Oh, and he does not like being interrupted when he is writing in his notepad. Just leave him be for a while. Okay, Lucy replied hesitantly. She noticed that almost all members of Fairy Tail do have their own peculiarity. For example, this muscular white-haired guy, who always talks about being a man, manliness, manhood, etc. On the other hand, there is Loki who always walks around with at least 2 girls attached to him. Don't even mention this black-haired woman, Kana, who drinks alcohol right from the barrels. A few minutes later, Natsu finished his writing and hid his notepad and golden pen in his coat's internal pocket. As soon as he finished, 2 men approached him. So, Mr. Natsu, what's the story? Where did you find such a cutie? One of them asked, causing Lucy to shiver a little. I envy you, I wonder if she'll join my team, the other one added. Natsu turned around and scrutinized the 2, confusing them slightly. No, I don't think so, he concluded, answering the second man's question. Moreover, you are a married man, Wakaba, Natsu somehow recalled his name, and you, whoever you are, zip your fly, Natsu said with his usual, emotionless face expression. The wizard who came with Wakaba turned away in embarrassment as Wakaba laughed at him. Wakaba, I think Natsu is right, Mirajan's voice called to him from behind. You should not flirt with other girls when you have a wife of your own. Wakaba turned around and met face to face with his wife. DWAAAHHH. Don't transform into my wife. Wakaba screamed in fear as he ran away, covered with cold sweat. The entire guild burst into laughter. Natsu slightly nodded to Mirajan as snow-haired waitress regained her normal form and winked to Lucy, meaning, don't mention it. Which reminds me, Natsu said as he actually remembered something, I still have a bet to win, so it's time for a new mission. But as soon as he stood up from bar stool, the God Slayer heard a very sad and worried voice. Is my dad back yet? He looked to the side and saw a boy with black hair, wearing a green short-sleeved shirt and brown shorts, standing in front of Makarov, who was taking a nap, sitting on the bar counter. You are becoming annoying, Romeo. If you are the son of a mage, trust your father, be a good boy and wait for him at home, the master said with his right eye half opened. But master, the boy protested, he said he'll come back in 3 days, but it's been a week since then. Mikao's job is at the Hakob mountain, is not it? Makarov said as he tried to recall the details of the mission that Mikao accepted. Yes, and it's not far from here, either, Romeo's eyes rimmed with the threat of tears. Please look for him, I'm worried about my father. No way, your dad is a mage of our guild. And we have no mages here who can't take care of themselves. I told you to return home, and wait for him. Go and drink some milk or something. Makarov shouted. Romeo jumped in front of him and smashed his little fist right between Master's eyes, before running away from the guildhall with tearful eyes. Idiot, I hate all of you. The small voice of an extremely upset boy echoed within the walls. It is very strict in this guild, isn't it? Lucy asked as the discussion ended. Master is like that, he always tries not to show emotions, but he actually is worried about Mikao, too, Mirajan said as she started cleaning plates. He has not returned for a week, Natsu sighed as he watched at Guild's open door. Ah, come on, this is really bothersome, he said tiredly as his eyes blinked with crimson light. As if I really have the time to waste it for such things, Sin, come on, Natsu headed towards the exit. Makarov sighed heavily as he watched young Warlock walking out with his familiar on his shoulder. Are you really intending to let him go to Hakob Mountain to look for Mikao, Master? Nab asked as he moved closer to the guild master, seemingly he guessed Natsu's intentions right, despite the God Slayer's complaints. It doesn't matter how powerful this guy is, he's still a kid, the Bucktooth Mage commented, if he does that, it'll only hurt Mikao's pride. Comparing to him you two are just toddlers, Mirajan suddenly gave Nab and the other guy quite a dark glare. And you two can still catch up with him and discuss his childishness face to face, by the way. Alternatively, I can convey your complaints to him when he'll return, so you could speak. Should I? No, Miss Mira, please don't. Both Nab and the Bucktooth guy trembled in fear. Mirajan turned away from them with a satisfied smile. No one can decide what he should do, Makarov replied with a pleased smile. Just let him walk his own path, he already walked a long one. What happened all of a sudden? Lucy asked as she stared at the doors. What's this all about? Well, as you, no doubts, have already learned, looks can be deceiving. Natsu possesses much more of a life experience than you can guess by his age, Murogen smiled as she started her tale wistfully. He claims that he is the son of a goddess, the supreme goddess of war, Morrigan, platinum blonde informed. Lucy fell off from her chair in shock as she heard the words of sky blue-eyed girl. No, she already heard that from Sin, but back then she thought that it was a figurative speech of sort. Did he mean it literally? What, Natsu actually had been raised by a real goddess? Lucy exclaimed, as she attempted to stand up. We have no way of knowing that for sure, Murogen smiled wryly. To be honest, this is the first time I've heard about her, Lucy murmured. Actually, Lucy wasn't sure that she heard anything more or less specific about any god or goddess, at all. Neither have I, Murogen nodded. But magic, as Natsu claims, he inherited from her, definitely is a real deal, about that you should have no doubts by now, waitress winked to Lucy. Right, Lucy mumbled, she couldn't remember everything about Natsu's fight against Bora, but she definitely does remember quite enough. According to Natsu, the warrior goddess Morrigan, also known as the Great Queen, Supreme War Goddess, and Spectre Queen, she represents the heavenly powers of battle, magic, fate and death, Mira informed. Is that true or not? I have no idea, Platinum Blonde smiled helplessly, but I can say that Natsu definitely do know things about our world that most of us cannot even comprehend. Anyway, Murogen got back to the topic. I bet she was a pretty stern mother, yet, Natsu holds very warm feelings towards her. However, just when he was 13 years old, Lady Morrigan stated that she taught Natsu everything she could and from now on he should continue to get stronger on his own. And she left him. Lucy gulped a little. Yes, she left, but before she did so, she gave one last gift to Natsu, the divine blade, Gladius Terminus, the sword of the end, Mira replied. She left him with just a sword? Lucy exclaimed. With the sword and in order to become a peerless warrior, the snow-haired girl smirked. For me or for you Lucy, it's just a sword, but for warriors. To whom a warrior entrusted his or her sword, she's entrusted everything to him. Warrior, Lucy echoed. Don't let this word confuse you Lucy, being a warrior has nothing to do with magic or swords, this is the way of life, the state of soul, but we digress from the topic, Murogen waved her arm. Natsu joined Fairy Tail about 2 years after his mother left him. About that you should ask Natsu himself. I'll only say that he was a real asshole back then. Lazy, selfish, arrogant, he even declined the S-class trial. He said it was, quote, too much trouble, and in return I'll only get more troubles. He was like that until an incident happened, about 2.5 years ago. Lucy noticed that Mira shivered a little. One of our guild members got Kia while on a mission, someone quite precious to Natsu. And I think he still blames himself, despite it never was Natsu's fault to begin with. After that incident he changed drastically, he passed an S-class trial at very next opportunity and took over senior mage's duties. But most importantly, he gave a word that if it will be within his power, he'll do everything he must to prevent another tragedy. Murogen put a glass of juice in front of Lucy. You see, we are, mages of Fairy Tail are, all carrying something, wounds, pain, suffering, and I as well, Mira shivered again. What's wrong? Lucy asked worriedly. No, it's nothing, Murogen quickly regained her wits and smiled warmly to Lucy, everyone in Fairy Tail is free to decide his own path. Lucy went silent for a few seconds before jumping on her feet and rushing after Natsu. Mr. Natsu, please, wait a second. Lucy managed to catch up with him a few minutes later. The God Slayer turned around. What is it Lucy? I'm in a hurry. Mikau may be in need of help, and that's not the only urgent concern I have right now. I know, she replied, panting a little, I want to join you, I wanna help. Natsu looked at her for a second. Alright, when it comes to search and rescue missions, the more eyes you have, the better. It will be a long ride so I'm going to find a carriage. Use this time to bring winter clothes, it will be pretty cold up there. July 4th, X784, 1550, Hakob Mountain. So, Mr. Natsu, why did you join Fairy Tail? Lucy asked after almost 2 hours of awkward silence though, apparently, Lucy was the only one who was feeling herself awkward. Natsu was simply reading some book. You may drop the honorific, the God Slayer replied as he put aside his book and looked at Lucy with evaluating sight. Well, I think there is nothing bad in telling you, it's not a big secret anyway. I suppose Jane already gave you the short version of my life story, so, after I've left my honorable mother's citadel, I only could think about one thing, power. I trained, sought for ancient spells, forgotten knowledge, magical artifacts, anything. I was also constantly fighting with every random mage I met in order to test myself. After my victories, I always was taking all of their money for myself, as a punishment for their weakness. In other words, as I've realized a bit later, I was just a robber back then, no more, no less, Natsu said. His voice was emotionless as usual, though there was some barely noticeable bitter irony. That continued until I've met one man. He was nothing special in looks, but I was quite surprised with his powers, considering the circumstances, of course. He was much older than me, about 45 years old. I followed him for a few days. The God Slayer noticed Lucy's sight. No, I never fought with him. Despite my pride I always was very careful, he answered Lucy's unspoken question. His eyes alone were enough for me to understand that we were in completely different leagues. I only followed him to learn who he is and where he came from. In the end, I managed to find out that he is a mage of a guild named Fairy Tale. So, I thought that if a mere human may achieve such power, then there's definitely something unusual about that guild. Natsu spoke out as he looked into the window. He was the strongest among mages I met during my journey across the continent, so I decided to join his guild. It was not too difficult to find out to which guild he belongs, and, fortunately, I haven't robbed any of Fairy Tale's members. It was quite a small guild back then. And now I'm here. Natsu finished his tale, pointing at Crimson Guild mark on his right shoulder. Don't get me wrong, those 2 years of free roam was quite interesting. The only thing I'm regretting about are robberies, those were pretty dishonorable deeds. But still, during my journeys I saw almost the entire continent and met with sin. However, that's another story for another day. Looks like we have arrived, Natsu noted as a few minutes later passengers felt that carriage has stopped. He stood up and looked through the carriage's window. Did we arrive to Hakob Mountain? Lucy asked the driver. Almost, but this is as far as I can take you. Sorry, the driver replied. Sin opened the carriage's door and Lucy immediately felt the harsh cold wind. Wow, it's really cold in here. Thanks for the warning about winter clothes, she said, looking at the snowy terrain around them. Don't mention it, Natsu waved it off. Come on, we have to find Macau as fast as possible. This frozen wasteland isn't the best place to die. Okay, Lucy agreed. What job did Mr. Macau come here for? Where should we begin to look for him? I wish I knew, Natsu replied quietly. He came here to subdue the local monsters, Vulcans. Monsters. Lucy's voice shook. No one told me anything about monsters. I thought we came here just to find Mr. Macau. If here would have been no danger, we'd have no need to come here in the first place. Sin facepalmed at Lucy's reaction. Too late to back down, Missy. You're already here and I'm counting on you and your magic, Natsu replied, leaving no place to argue. Now, summon one of your spirits with capability to see and move and make it to help us in our search. All right, but only if you promise to stop calling my spirits, it, and, that. Lucy exclaimed a bit angrily. Then she pulled out one of her silver keys and shouted, "Open, gate of the clock, horologium." Out of the golden magic seal came a giant grandfather clock with arms, legs and a dial-like face. Weird, Sin murmured. Maybe, but I don't think we are the ones to talk, the God Slayer noted. Whatever, Missy, you and your spirit should head that way. Natsu pointed to the left. I'll go there. He pointed to the right, and Sin will search from above. I'm Lucy, Blonde shouted resentfully, but of course, she was ignored. Macau, can you hear me? Natsu called out through the powerful snowstorm, standing near the cliff's edge as he tried to look around. Just as I thought, God Slayer looked around. All right, let's spread out, and be careful, everyone. But before he could finish his phrase, a Vulcan came crashing in between Natsu and the others with a grin on its face, aiming for Natsu. The God Slayer quickly stepped aside and prepared for combat as crimson energy started to swirl around him. The Vulcan stared at him for a few moments before sniffing the air and looking back. A human woman. A big, perverted grin came to the monkey's snout before it ran off. What's with the number of idiots this week? Natsu asked himself. eyeing the retreating monster, before realizing it was heading towards Lucy. "Oh, that's not good, Missy. Watch out." Lucy managed to see the danger at the last moment, and in panic she hid inside the clock spirit. In the meantime, Natsu managed to take a good look at a monkey. "Oh, come on," God Slayer rolled his eyes. The Vulcan, in the meantime, grabbed Horologium, lifted up and ran away. "You'd better have a good explanation about this," God Slayer facepalmed. "Stop standing there like a statue. Get over here and save me," she cried through tears. Horologium conveyed Lucy's words with a motionless voice. "What did I tell you? You can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear," Sin stated as he landed on Natsu's shoulder. "We cannot know what future holds," Natsu said quietly as he shook his head. "Oh, my dear mother, I wish I could ask you for an advice." A few minutes later, "How did I become like this? And that damn monkey is hyper for some reason," Lucy asked herself tearfully. "How did I let myself to be dragged into this?" She shivered as Vulcan was running around the Horologium. "A human female," the Vulcan shouted again as he pressed his snout against the glass of the grandfather clock, freaking Lucy out even more as she stared at the monkey's drooling maw. Then, at the most inopportune moment, Horologium disappeared, eliciting a slight cloud of blue smoke. "Where did you go, Horologium? Don't you dare to disappear at such a time," Lucy wailed as she's been left unprotected in front of that perverted monkey. "Sorry, but my time is up. Farewell," the clock's voice replied. "Extension. I need an extension, please," the stellar mage cried as the Vulcan rushed its way over to her with a large perverted grin on its snout. But, suddenly, a ray of crimson energy hit the Vulcan and smashed him into the wall of the ice cave. "Keep your hands to yourself, weak-minded scarecrow," Natsu demanded as he appeared from the shadows. "This is just pathetic, Macau. I've always knew that you are quite far from being a gentleman, but don't you think this is a bit too much even for you?" Natsu addressed to Monkey as Lucy dashed towards the God Slayer and hid behind his back. "Huh," Lucy looked at Natsu questioningly. "Molest a young lady without even introducing yourself? Not to mention the fact that you let some monkey to use its takeover spell on you. You've really disappointed me this time." Natsu spoke out. In the meantime, the monkey managed to get back on its feet. "What are you talking about, Natsu?" Lucy asked, but he remained focused on the enemy. Suddenly she heard Sin's voice. "Natsu, behind us." Natsu turned around only to see 3 more Vulcans. "Oh, that is really out of time." "More monsters," Lucy cried in a panic. "Don't panic, Lucy. Nothing bad will happen to any of us, I promise," Natsu said with completely calm voice. "Those are just the same Vulcans." God Slayer's eyes flashed with crimson light. "And those 3, we don't need alive," he added passionlessly. "What's with this guy? Only by looking at him I'm becoming confident in our safety," Lucy asked as she stared up at Natsu. "All right, Missy, you take care of this one," he pointed at Monkey that kidnapped Lucy. "I'll explain it later, but we need him alive. Be careful to an extent, do not use lethal force. Sin, ensure her if needed. And I'll take care of those 3. Crimson energy covered the God Slayer's palms. "Be swift, we're running out of time." Seemingly, Lucy gave up on trying to remind Natsu about her name. "Yes, sir." She and Sin saluted simultaneously. "Natsu, I don't know how it happened, but I already feel like I'm part of the family. And I'll fight for the sake of my friends," Lucy stated, grabbing one of her keys. "That's how it works," Natsu nodded. "Now, let battle rejoice." Lucy raised up her key and shouted, "Open the gate to the Golden Bull's palace, Taurus." Out of the magic seal appeared a large creature that seemed to be a hybrid of a bull and a human, wielding a big 2-handed axe and wearing blue trunks. "Moo," the bull bellowed. "A bull?" Sin stared at Taurus with a question mark above his bony head. "Taurus, the most powerful melee fighting stellar spirit in my contract, will be this monkey's opponent. He'll be more than enough to deal with this perverted scarecrow," Lucy said with a bit of bloodlust in her voice. Vulcan had scared her and now she wanted revenge. "Come on, you 3. I have no time to fiddle around with the likes of you," War God's twin blades. Crimson energy formed into 2 long blades on each of his palms as Natsu rushed toward the approaching monsters. He got close so fast that monsters were taken by surprise. Once he was close enough, Natsu swung both arms, hitting the monsters with his crimson energy blades. The blow elicited a cloud of ice dust and sent them flying in different directions. "Oh, Miss Lucy, your boobs are nice as always. More amazing than ever. How about you let me touch them a little? The perverted bull asked, making Lucy to clench her fists. Oh, I forgot, he's a pervert as well, Lucy muttered, making Sin to facepalm. UHO, don't touch my woman, the monkey roared, your woman, this is the Moose Street unforgivable remark. You should say, my boobs, instead, Taurus proclaimed as steam bursted out from his nose. That's not right, Lucy shouted. Anyway, Taurus, knock him out. Sure, anything to protect your sexy boobs, Miss Lucy. I'm more than ready. Taurus saluted as he reached for his axe. I hope you are ready for a beating, stupid moo nkey. Taurus exclaimed as he slammed his axe to the ground and sent a shockwave toward the Vulcan, but it quickly dodged as it jumped out of the way. The Vulcan rushed towards Taurus with his arms ready to land a powerful blow. Taurus moved his axe in front of him and prepared to counter the monkey's attack. They clashed against each other with full force. Their strength seemed equal until Sin came and dropped an icicle on the Vulcan's head. It distracted the monkey for a mere second, but that was enough. Taurus pushed Monkey away and struck it with his axe, knocking Vulcan out. Nice work you two, Lucy shouted joyfully. Anything for your sexy boobs, Miss Lucy. Taurus answered with hearts in his eyes, making Lucy to facepalm before she remembered something Natsu said earlier. Hey, Sin, why did Natsu call this Vulcan, Macau? Lucy wondered. That's because he is Macau, Sin answered as defeated Vulcan started to glow and shrink. A human male appeared in its place. Lucy stared in shock as Sin started to explain. Vulcans survive by using takeover magic to possess their victim's body and using it as their own, they are just monstrous body abductors. At the same time Natsu was fighting with the other three Vulcans, though it wasn't fighting at all. Monkeys recovered from his last attack and all three of them now rushed towards the God Slayer, trying to attack him all at once. So, you still didn't feel like running? Natsu sighed as he leapt toward the enemies. War God's shock strike, he landed a crushing blow right into the maw of the one of the Vulcans, smashing him into the floor, then somersaulted and performed another attack. War God's crushing fists, he used both of his fists to knock down the last two monkeys. The Vulcans had no time to recover as Natsu shouted, War God's howl. A massive, spiraling flow of crimson energy produced powerful blasts that smashed the Vulcans into the wall, knocking them out. However, Natsu haven't finished yet. War God's explosive spear. The God Slayer brought his arms together and created a massive magical spear composed of crimson energy, and hurled it at the Vulcans. The spear landed a direct hit and obliterated part of the cave's wall, creating a huge hole and throwing out the monsters through it. Have I overdid it again? Ah, who cares, no one will ask me to pay for that, Natsu noted to himself as he dashed toward Lucy and Sin to check Macau. He knew, however, that he was lucky, just a bit more damage and the entire cave would have collapsed. That's Natsu for you, he never can stop in time, Sin commented as Lucy stared at the current result of the God Slayer's thirst for destruction. How's Macau? Natsu inquired as he approached Sin and Lucy, who already started to unpack a first aid kit and bandaging Macau's wounds. Pretty bad I'm afraid, he got several severe wounds and chilblains. We should transfer him to warmth as fast as possible, Lucy explained as she removed her winter coat and covered Macau's body with it. Well, I guess that's to be expected, there was a violent fight before the Vulcan finally took him over, Natsu said as he examined Macau. No time to waste then, come on, we have to carry him away from this mountain, the God Slayer stated as he picked up his friend's body. And, by the way, thanks for learning the first aid's methods, whenever you did, Missy, Macau is alive thanks to you. Lucy blushed a little as Sin commented, Natsu only knows how to do damage, not how to treat it. Then, little bony creature leaned to Natsu's ear and asked quietly, you really still didn't memorize her name, or you just think it's funny? Get lost, Natsu waved the little bony creature off. July 4th, X 784, 1740, halfway between Magnolia and MT. Hako. Natsu's group reached the lowlands, where the environment became warm enough for Macau to recover a bit. Okay, we'll put him here, the God Slayer pointed at the bottom of a large tree. We'll wait here until he regains consciousness. As much as I'm in a hurry, I still don't think that his son will be glad to see him like this. Lucy nodded. She understood Natsu's reasoning. After about 10 minutes later, Lucy noticed that Macau moved a little. Hey, look, it seems he's waking up. Blonde called for others. Macau opened his eyes and saw Natsu, his familiar, and some blonde girl who was staring at him quite worriedly. Natsu, is that you? Lay still for a while, God Slayer ordered. People should not try to run around right after returning from the frozen hell. Natsu pressed Mikao to the ground, restraining his movements. Shit, what a shame, I got 19 of them, but 20th one took me over, Mikao tried to explain. Lucy's eyes widened in shock as she listened. What, there were 19 more of those monkeys? And he took care of all of them by himself. Lucy thought. She also remembered how Natsu effortlessly smashed 3 of the monkeys by himself. Amazing, I'm really no match for them. Sorry Natsu, but I'm angry at myself. How can I face Romeo like this? Mikao asked, but the God Slayer seemed uninterested in excuses. I'm also quite displeased with you, Natsu replied emotionlessly. You wasted my time, made your son worry, and if things will continue like this, others may start thinking that I have nothing better to do but babysit incompetent mages. Natsu's words were harsh, but it seemed like Mikao was prepared to hear something like that. He didn't seem offended or shocked, unlike Lucy. Natsu, he's wounded, she exclaimed. Don't you think that scolding him like that is a bit too much? Besides, Mikao seemed at least twice as old as Natsu, yet he was scolded like a schoolboy. Natsu didn't reply, so Sin did instead. If he would have been kind and supporting, that experience would have been for nothing. He should feel himself depressed and ashamed, and he should do everything within his powers to not experience these feelings ever again. Lucy scratched her head. She got the idea, but she couldn't agree with that method. Oh, this is Lucy, our guild's newest member, Sin explained as he noticed that Mikao is looking at Blonde in confusion. Also, she's a girl who saved your life using her first aid skills, and a girl who you tried to rape whilst being possessed by a Vulcan, Natsu added calmly, so I'd say you got pretty close to the pinnacle of shame. Mikao closed his eyes in defeat. Just, bring me back on that mountain, and bury me in snow, he croaked. Ha, you won't get away that easily, Natsu snorted. As she heard that exchange, Lucy relaxed a little. It seems that, even though Natsu is like that, he actually cares about his guild and fellow guildmates. Anyway, if you feel better, then get on your feet, Natsu said as he offered his hand for Mikao to grab. And you really have to thank this girl here for bandaging your wounds. You are well aware of my own medical skills, Natsu informed as Lucy blushed a little. That phrase was truthful, by the way. Thank you, young lady, Mikao thanked her as he bowed to Lucy as much as his wounded back allowed. Damn, that's one way to meet with the new guild member, Mikao mumbled, making Lucy to chuckle a little. Quite an unorthodox way, but Natsu knows how to cheer up people, she thought. Come on Mikao, Romeo is waiting for your return, let's go, Sin suggested. All right, Sin. Damn, I'm good for nothing. If it was your boss or his girlfriend, 10 times more monsters would have been annihilated within just a few minutes, Mikao complained, making Lucy to look at Natsu curiously. Mikao, I really don't think that you should be getting on his nerves right now, Sin advised as he noticed Natsu's that left eye flashed with dark blue light. Mikao also noticed that, so he didn't say anything else. After seeing that scene, Lucy decided to hold on to her curiosity for a while. July 4th, X784, 1915, Magnolia, not far from Mikao's house. Thanks to long summer days, sun was still way above the horizon. In the rays of sunset, an extremely sad and worried Romeo was sitting on the border fence with his head hung, looking down at the pavement. He remembered how he was bullied and insulted by other boys because his father is a wizard. What's so great about fairy tale mages? They are just a bunch of cowards who spent all their time drinking. We all want to become knights when we grow up. Wizards are all a bunch of drunks. He then remembered how he begged his father to take a mission so that the humiliating teasing would stop. He remembered that his dad gave him a cheerful wink before he picked a mission and left. Romeo, we're back, the Sin's voice called out, catching Romeo's attention. When he looked up from the pavement, he saw his father leaning on Natsu's shoulder. They were accompanied by Sin and the blonde girl whose name he did not know yet. Romeo's eyes widened from happiness before he ran toward his father. However, then he came closer, he lowered his head and said, Dad, I'm sorry. No, Romeo, it is I who should say sorry, Mikao replied. Sorry for making you worry. It's all right, I'm the son of a wizard, after all, Romeo said as Natsu waved to Mikao and started to walk toward the guild building. Then when those brats tease you next time, Ask them if their old men can defeat 19 monsters by themselves. Mikao boasted. As he heard that, Natsu didn't say anything, he just continued his way towards the Fairy Tale Guild Hall. Mr. Natsu, Sin. Thank you, Romeo shouted. Without turning around, Natsu waved his hand once again. Sin, who was riding on his shoulder, did the same. And thank you too, Sister Lucy, Romeo added. Mikao had told his son about this new girl. Lucy turned a little and waved back with a smile on her face. Alright, girlie, I'm going to give a report about Mikao to the master. Thanks for your help and sorry for that our rescue mission took so long. Still, I think you have a bit of time to find a place to settle into. If you get no luck with it, come to my house, I'll find a room for you, Natsu said as he headed towards Guildhall, with his familiar still sitting on his right shoulder. Oh, right, I still need a house, Lucy exclaimed in panic and rushed towards the town center, as she hoped to find some rent offer at the city bulletin board. As she was running, she thought, Fairy Tale is a reckless and outrageous guild, but it's also fun, heartwarming and kind. I'm still a rookie mage, but I think I'll enjoy being a part of this guild a lot, Lucy smiled to herself. I also have to ask Miss Mira about this, Natsu's girlfriend, as soon as I can, or I'll just die from curiosity. That's all for now, but hey guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, for further updates on awesome content. See y'all next time.